Hello, I'm Jonathan, otherwise known as Jonno, and it's a swirling wonderland of sparkling white pleasure. Let it fill your senses with cascading fluffy pillows of comfort and excitement as you've never felt before.
Hi, I'm Lister, otherwise known as Zantok, and I don't know why I put up with this anymore. This is Super Gas Brothers, which he forgot to tell you. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
It's
apparently it's
Super Cast
wintertime
Brothers,
instead.
and oh yeah, it's wintertime. It's the holiday season. We're getting excited and to kind of celebrate in lieu of Christmas and your preferred
Wait, we're replacing Christmas?
winter solstice holiday of choice. Yes, we are not so far replacing it. We are supplementing it with
I
the
call this Smashmas.
yep. There you go. We are
We're
celebrating
getting Gino.
Smashmas.
It's finally happening. Please.
Maybe with our good friend Jamie Alimorad. Hello, Jamie.
Hey guys, what's going on? Thanks for having me.
Hey, we're doing great, especially now that you're here. We love you as
Oh,
has been. Oh yeah, absolutely. Warm fuzzy feelings inside. So this is our third guest episode. We've been having a heck of a time introducing our pals to you, and Jamie. He's the first that's not coming from Super Smash Bros. Mercurius, the forum that Lister and I started on and met each other on back in 2007. Jamie and I know each other from more so my quote main unquote profession of covering music and writing about music. And we've known each other for quite a while too. I think I started around 2011 or 2012 in music writing, and we've known each other for just about the entire span. So because I remember covering your releases in Yahoo Voices, which was
yeah.
definitely 2012. So we've known each other for a long time, and kind of we decided to have Jamie on the show, and thank you for accepting the invitation because he's a huge Nintendo fan too. And as we get into this podcast, before we get into this podcast, we kind of wanted to jump into that background a little bit and just kind of see where Jamie's at now. So could you tell us just a little bit about your new album?
Well, sure. But before I do that, I just want to say it's a pleasure to be here for Smash Miss because
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of a better time than to be the guest on this podcast than Smash Miss because
Oh
we're
yeah,
I feel like at this point we're for at least this first wave of things we will have everything by the time Christmas Day rolls around. I feel like that Sakurai is going to give us the big gifts, under the tree. So
yeah.
it's really cool to be here with all this fun stuff going on. So with me, musically, it's a very exciting time as well because I just released an album called "This Is Tomorrow Calling," and the music is doing extremely well. It's available on all your favorite streaming platforms as well as digital stores if you do still buy things. Which, if you do, thank you.
Oh, please
And
do buy it.
I just printed up some CDs as well. We're going to be working on a vinyl pressing for 2020, and
Oh, awesome.
then we'll be taking the show on the road and hopefully coming to a city near you. And the album is a collection of it's pop songs, but it's not your stereotypical cookie cutter pop music. It's got a little bit more substance to it, and there's been a lot of care that's been put into this music. And so far, the initial success has been stuff that I'm really proud of, and in some cases overwhelmed with. And two things to just talk about really quickly: the lead single "Not Ready to Say Goodbye" was nominated for a 2019 Hollywood Music and Media Award for male vocal, which at the time of this recording, the award ceremony hasn't happened. So hopefully I can update that with a win. And
Oh
then
yeah.
the second single, "Brighter Days," I have a special connection with that song, and I'm very proud of this initiative that I started with the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. I wrote this for a friend of mine of oh gosh, I've known her since I was 11, and she has been going through a really tough time. And one day she opened up to me about some of this difficulty, and I couldn't believe what she's sharing with me. And I asked her what I could do to help, and she said just listening and being there as a friend is more than enough. But for the days, weeks following her story to me, I just couldn't shake what she had said, and the fact that someone I had known for the better part of 2 decades, I had no idea that she was going through this, and it started making me wonder who else I know and don't know who is underneath maybe a mask is going through pain. And I wrote this song, Brighter Days, for her and as a message of hope to anyone else that's struggling. And a friend of mine introduced me to the great folks over at the AFSP, and we launched a campaign together to raise some funds and awareness for mental health and suicide prevention. A few weeks ago, I performed at their Out of the Darkness walk in Santa Monica, and there's a group of upwards of 5,000 people, and we shot the music video for the song there. We're going to release that probably in January of 2020, and we have this campaign that we're selling these T-shirts, and Jonathan, you were gracious enough to buy one, and you've been touting it proudly on social media, which I greatly appreciate. And all the proceeds is they're going to the AFSP, and it's been such a thrill meeting all these. I mean, to me, they're heroes. These strong individuals with everybody has their own story that whatever they've gone through, whether it's their own story or they've been there for a family member or a friend, it's so inspirational. And I've had some people reach out to me over Twitter and Instagram that the song has touched them in a way that it's been there for their time of need, which I don't even know what to say. And it's such an overwhelming feeling of warmth at that point, and I'm glad that the message I put out there is resonating, and I'm really proud of that.
Absolutely. I'm proud of it too. As we discussed in our jfrom.com in-depth interview, you guys should check that one out too. Brighter Days was one of those first songs where you really stepped out of kind of a comfort zone to really with the intent to write something for someone else and for everyone going through these sorts of struggles. So it's thank you for that, because I think everybody knows someone who's going through some sort of struggle, if not themselves. So it's not an issue to take lightly, and it's not something that's lost on any ears. It's something that can touch a lot of people. And if you're like someone else in this podcast who's not necessarily the greatest purveyor of the musical format in terms of their media indulgence. Well, the T-shirts are also another way to display the same message, and the T-shirts are great quality. They're made by TeePublic, who have trusted for a long time to make quality T-shirts for custom prints on behalf of artists. And I think you also have a "This Is Tomorrow Calling" T-shirt on the site too.
I do, and we're going to get into a lot more lines for "This Is Tomorrow Calling" and all that merchandise. But right now, my emphasis is largely on the Brighter Days stuff, and especially the gaming community. That loneliness and that isolation, it's prevalent. I mean, there was a time for a lot of people, myself included, we used to get together, big groups, maybe just one other friend, and we play games all day. But then as you start to grow up, or you go off to college, and then you get a job, and life happens, you can't do that couch co-op so often anymore. So it leads to a lot of isolated experience when you're playing a game. And it might be great to be talking to someone through a headset or the phone or whatever it might be, but it's not the same. And just to keep that message of hope alive, and to know that if you're struggling with something, just give it a day, give it a week, give it a month, give it a year. There are brighter days ahead. And it's just like a round of any online multiplayer. Sometimes you suck. Sometimes it just doesn't go well. You just bomb. And no matter how good you are, everybody lays an egg. Sometimes life is like that too. You just had a bad day. It was just a day. It was just a week. It was just a month, so it's about trying to look forward, because the next round will be better. It's going to get better. And that's what the song is about.
Awesome. To be smashing it up, smashing some characters directly into the hypothetical Smash game of our dreams, which is somewhere out there. I mean, Ultimate's pretty good, but then we're going to be dashing a few dreams as well. So
that's my favorite part.
Ruining
people's hopes and dreams.
But before we get into that, I believe there was a tale that Lister was particularly titillated about, regarding Jamie's gaming past, about meeting Reggie in terms of Smashdom.
Yes,
Yeah.
please do tell, for I am ever so
So,
jealous, and I wish to make more people jealous.
so I mean, listeners here are probably following Nintendo on various social media, but you might not be unless you're in the New York area, which I grew up in New York. I no longer live, but growing up there, we had Nintendo World, which has since been renamed Nintendo New York, Nintendo NYC, and they used
Hmm.
to do really great events all the time for a new first party launch. Obviously, the consoles, but one day I just happened to see something online from one of their handles about something called "I'm with Reggie." And I'm like, what the heck is this? I want to be with Reggie. And this was specifically for Smash for Wii U because the 3DS one was already out.
Hmm.
So they asked anyone to write in a story about what Smash means to them or any of their memories growing up with the game, whatever they really wanted to share, and their history with the series. And if selected, as long as you could get yourself to Rockefeller Center, you'll be in Nintendo World and playing with the Reginator himself. So I saw that and I said, I'm going to enter, and I know they're going to pick me. And I felt that confident about it. So I wrote about how I was introduced to Smash, which I think, like a lot of us, was that commercial with the Turtles song "So Happy Together" playing in the background, and watching these mascots kick the crap out of one
It was
another. Like,
beautiful.
what is this?
Hmm.
It was amazing. And I got the original Smash Brothers for Christmas, the year that it launched in '99, and I just couldn't wait to put that in the N64. And I mean, we're talking about countless hours. And then with Melee, I started getting to an age where more friends would be coming over, and an expanded roster meant more people had their favorites in there. So we really became affiliated with a character. And then time moves on, you get to Brawl, and when Brawl comes out, I'm at college at that point. And I can remember that day perfectly. And I wrote all about the tournaments that we used to have and just the community that it brought together, because everybody had at least three characters like, those are my guys or girls. And we used to just do crazy tournaments all night, and it was the best. So I wrote, obviously, much more poetically than what I'm saying here. And I
Hmm.
got selected, and I went down, I think it was about 2 weeks before the game released, or maybe 1 week. It was somewhere around November 14th or something like that. And we had to go through a check-in thing, and we all were, after, kind of standing around going, so you want to play Smash on your 3DS? And we started all street passing and playing that way. And then eventually they moved us over, and out he came. And it was like, I don't know. I don't know, how would you describe it? It it was, when he walked into the room, it was like the parting of the Red Sea, because he's ginormous. I mean, he's like football player big, and you can't miss him. And everybody just kind of stepped away, as if the sun itself had descended upon the earth, you know. And he was as cool as the other side of the pillow. I mean, he could have been just all corporate nonsense and whatever the entire time. No, he was regular, and um he brought out, he had his Link amiibo with him, which at the time they weren't available yet. So it was the first time, whoa, that's an amiibo. And the other members of the Treehouse, which were some of the same people you see during Treehouse Live at E3 now,
Hmm.
they all had their favorite fighters as amiibo. So we were all taking a look at them. We played against them and their maxed out amiibo
Oh
fighters,
my
which
gosh.
we stood no chance. Like we went up against Reggie's level 90 Link. Forget about it. Like not a single person won the whole night. Even when we teamed up against the amiibo, like no, we had no chance.
Oh my
And
gosh.
after we played with him, he then eventually just let his amiibo do whatever because he wanted to talk to people. And I spent a good 15, 20 minutes with him. And then also that night, they had a preview for the Mario Kart 8 DLC, which was not out yet. So we got to play on that too, and a couple of other holiday games that were not available yet on all the demo kiosks. And it was awesome. And he was unbelievably nice. He answered everybody's question, regardless of how ridiculous it was. But I will say,
Mother 3.
nobody. I was just going to tell you, nobody asked him about Mother 3 that night. Not a single
Wow.
person. It was pretty impressive.
I mean, do you
And
want to be shot with his laser eyes? Because I don't.
yeah, that's true. That's true. But he was awesome, and I made a couple of friends that night. But one I've stayed very close to, and we're actually doing some work together on a music video project coming up. At the time, she worked for Nickelodeon. Now she works for Disney. Great gig. And she does a lot of Nintendo artwork now as well on the side. She's worked Nintendo's E3 booth a few times, thanks to that night with Reggie.
Damn.
That's how cool Reggie was.
Sweet.
Is that this girl just made a fan thing, and he thought it was so cool that she eventually got some work. Like that's pretty awesome.
That's
the dream.
And it just shows you that there are people that are at the top of the ladder that do care, because you see him on the internet and he's kind of become a caricature of himself at this point. But that night he was just like, yeah, I'm Reggie Fils-Aime, here I am. And my mom used to work for Pepsi, so Pepsi used to own Pizza Hut, and of course Reggie was a big wig in marketing for Pizza Hut. So I was talking to him about that time, and he had been to the headquarters where I used to go as a kid all the time and into my adulthood. And we were talking about all that stuff, and he asked me about my music, and he had a job briefly at one. He was talking about what the corporate atmosphere was like over there and his artist interactions. This is a guy that's really well versed in the business world and just a down-to-earth dude. And now that he's retired, obviously I miss him, but he deserves the retirement and the time for him and his family.
Yeah.
But that night was wild, and it was kind of crazy to be there, because I'm not someone that really gets starstruck, and I don't want to say that I was, but he's an internet figure to me, and he was the internet figure that I ever met. And actually, a couple years later, I got to run in. I met Miyamoto at a Super Mario Run thing in Soho. So it's like it's super crazy to be like, whoa, there they are. Like you affect my childhood and my recreational habits. That's wild.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. Because it's not the same as a movie star or a rock star or an athlete. This is a businessman. But he's freaking Reggie, so it's it's cool. It's cool. That was a fun night, and to the other dozen or so people that were there, it was a night we'll never.
But yeah, we were talking about how Reggie was just such a humble guy, and I think that is something that Nintendo is able to foster really well, because you see it in people like Miyamoto as well, and people like Iwata, who was at the top for a long time and did amazing things for his employees when the Wii U was stuttering. And things along those lines. So that's awesome that you were able to meet them. We're certainly envious, of course. I think the next time that you meet Reggie, maybe he'll be meeting a movie star and athlete and rock star himself. So maybe he'll be humbled next time around. I was like, oh my God, I have you on all of my playlists. I've seen your best-selling movies. Thank you for being influenced by my actions, Jamie. I am humbled.
Thank you for playing me in my
That's
biopic.
awesome, and I think you two both share an experience in that you've both met Charles Martinet as well. So there's that. So you've both Lister, can you actually tell us a little bit about meeting Charles Martinet?
Yeah, so I'm up in the Kansas City area, and every year we have Planet Comic Con, and I believe it was it it was either this last year or the year before. I can't remember. I've been going to a few of these now. They announced, hey, Charles Martinet, the voice of Mario, Luigi, Wario, and Waluigi, is going to be here. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? Hold up. Did you say that we're bringing in the voice actor from Mario? It's like, okay, well, I was going to go anyways. So this just reinforces that even more. I'm going to see Miyamoto. I'm going to get a picture with him. Or Miyamoto, wow, no, Martinet, Jesus Christ. I'm going to get a picture with him. I'm going to get something signed. You're damn right I am. And well, one of those 3 days, I marched up there along with my brother Twilix. I had my Waluigi amiibo in hand. We got a few quick pictures taken with him. Got my amiibo signed. I went to see his panel later that same day, and he was a trip. I mean, he's got such a personality to him. Like I don't know what I really expected meeting him, because I've seen other voice actors, at conventions. There's been from various animes that go to these. I've met the guys from Rooster Teeth that do Ruby, but it was like he had endless amount of energy, and he would just float in and out from Martinet voice to Mario to Wario to Waluigi. He even brought in I think it was Parthenax from Skyrim. He dropped into that a little bit. Like
Nice.
the dude doesn't stop and love it. And if anybody is going to be in the area March of 2020, he's coming back. Just
Nice.
Oh
saying.
man.
I'm so ready.
Yeah. Yeah. I would be too. So here's to hoping, right?
Oh yeah.
Holy moly.
Maybe we'll get you down
Yeah,
here.
Charles Martinet has such a warm, uh, eccentric nature to him. He's kind of like the Robin Williams of gaming. So
I agree.
He
Yeah.
has he has the endless energy of a child, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the closest thing that you have to a child in your life otherwise is me, and do not I do not compare, of course. I can just bring you Chucky Finster.
No.
Oh,
Okay.
I lost
Okay.
you for a second.
Yeah, I
Oh,
lost him
no,
too. Anytime
yeah.
he talks about Chucky, I just try to mentally tune out.
Yeah. So that's about that. So we can talk about his downbeat, including Boppo later. That could be off the podcast. Um. So that's awesome. I'm glad. I'm envious of you both. I mean, the closest thing that I have to it is that I was one of the first 100 members to sign up for Nintendo of America's Club Nintendo when that was a
Nice.
thing, and the first 100 all got a signed photo of the Mario cast at the time with Waluigi in
Whoa,
it
sick.
and Birdo and like an extended cast. There were Dry Bones and Booze everywhere, and Reggie had signed it. So that was kind of a gift. And
Cool.
the tragic end to that story is that I don't know where it went.
Oh
Oh,
no.
come on.
Yeah, so
Oh
that's but
no.
that's my one claim to fame in the gaming scape, other than being known as an illustrious podcast host, of course. Uh,
Hey, that's
so
not a bad
yeah,
place to be.
There are worse
no,
places
no,
to be.
no. Oh, absolutely,
You could be
absolutely.
a Fortnite fan.
Okay, hot
Touche.
takes there.
Touche.
You could be one of the characters that we're going to dash today.
You could be.
That's right.
Which, speaking
So
of, I
yeah,
think it might be about time to get into our first matchup.
Let's
agree.
do it.
I agree. Who's on the potential chopping block today, Lister?
So, for today's first matchup of Smash or Dash, episode 12 of Super Cast Brothers, we had for you Toad versus Captain Toad. And for those of you wondering, no, they're not the same character, you're wrong. Let's just get that out of the way real quick. Some people thought that was the case when the characters first brought around, but no. Nah, stop it. You're wrong.
Yeah,
But we can only put one of
Miyamoto's.
them through, so
Yeah,
let's figure
yeah.
this out.
Let's figure this out indeed. Before we go that far, I think as per usual with these sorts of episodes, we'll dive into that kind of general history of each character. So I guess since I kind of segued into that, I guess I have to segue into Toad's history, and really, what can be who has a better story than Toad the Toad?
Bran Stark.
Oh yeah, that's right. So, Toads are one of the most ubiquitous characters in gaming history. Pretty much the de facto NPC, if you're asking me. Uh, they serve Princess Peach at Peach's Castle. I've taken all sorts of roles since being introduced. In Super Mario Brothers in 1985. We've seen them playable a number of times, especially in recent years in New Super Mario Brothers series, Super Mario 3D, Land, and World. Or was it just World? It was just World, wasn't it?
Super Mario
Um,
3D World, not Land.
okay, yeah, I had a bit of a Freudian slip there. Um, and New Super Luigi U as well, and they've appeared in the new Luigi's Mansion game, for instance, as some characters that you need to save. So that they're all over the place. You've played as them in Wario's Woods as well. Awesome little obscure platform on the NES and SNES. And finally, Toads have brought themselves out into spin-offs, into various other forms like Captain Toads and Paper Toads. They're all over the place. They're Toad. There you go. How about this Captain Toad fellow?
So Captain Toad is a very specific toad, much like Toad the Toad himself is a specific toad. But
Mm-hmm.
whereas Toad has a standard toad design, red polka dots on his hat, head, whatever that thing is, and then a blue jacket, Captain Toad instead wears a explorer's outfit. He's got his heavy backpack on, he's got a neckerchief, he's got a nice little safari shirt on, or pants, shirt pants. A Toad's body
Mm-hmm.
is kind of too small to have just shirt and pants, I guess. He's got that nice little headlamp that you would use for spelunking. But he first appeared in Mario Galaxy, leading the Toad Brigade. He just kind of like helps out Mario for a bit, trying to track down some stars, coins, whatever have you. Came back in Mario Galaxy 2 doing the same kind of stuff, 3D world. He's got a costume in Super Mario Maker in 1 and 2. Well, not in 2 because there's no more costumes, sadly. He even appears in Super Mario Odyssey, where he's hidden in each world, and if you find him, he'll give you a Power Moon. But what's more interesting with Captain Toad is that he actually has games where he is the central character. Yeah, Toad has been playable in some Mario games, but he's never been the central character, unlike Captain Toad has here, with the Captain
Mm-hmm.
Toad Treasure Tracker game, which later got a remake as well, where you see him sometimes with Toadette exploring these little mini worlds of sorts, trying to collect power stars there again because power stars Mario is just
Yeah,
their
they're
thing.
they're like diorama boxes.
Right. It's like they essentially
Yeah.
wanted to say, hey, let's make a new kind of Toad, and he's going to be an explorer.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Toad the Toad is more like, hey, I help Peach and Mario. This guy,
He's
he's your
yeah.
Indiana Jones, I guess you could say, of
Yeah,
sorts.
that's fair. That's fair. Captain Toad and 1,000 Spikes. That would be a great marketing opportunity. Anywho,
Well, when do we get to find out that Shia LaBeouf is his son? That's what I want
I
to
think I
know.
think I think that's coming in the next sequel. We need to stop just getting ports of the first Captain Toad and just get the full blown sequel so we can finally have that hidden lore thrown out there.
Or
And we'll
maybe
find
we'll
a way
do him
for
in
Chucky to
Smash
be
instead.
involved as well. Maybe
No,
we will. Maybe we will.
no.
Um, what I'll say outright is Captain Toad has more of this innate ability, I think, in Smash to have a move set that's more cohesive, perhaps, because you're pulling from a singular concept. Whereas with Toad, you have all of these different places to pull from, which is awesome, and you can certainly you certainly have more to work with. But at the same time, will it be more difficult to translate? And will Captain Toad's more defined characteristics make, and especially his more present precedence in recent years as an individual character, will that give him the edge over a more standard Toad? Where we're asking, is this Toad like the number one Toad in the gang? Or are there just a number of generic Toads um, who contribute to this? So it's a less defined character than Captain Toad, which I think is really his number one thing going for him. But Toad too has a lot that I would consider a strength too, because you would have this ability to pull from Mario Party or any other spin-off title, for instance, or there's a lot of places to go with Toad. But yeah, I don't want to talk too much at the outright. So, what about you guys?
So something I need to point out here before we get too much further is you keep making statements about toads, but
Mhm.
and yes, there are a lot of the toad members of the species. There is Toad the Toad, and he has been the primary appearance in many of these games. He's the playable character in Mario Bros. 2. He's the playable character in Mario 3D World. He's the playable character in all the sports and spin-off titles. There are other games where we have a bunch of regular Toads, and Toad might be one of them, he might not be, or he might just not even be in the game at all. We don't actually know. Like the original Mario Brothers. There's a lot of Toads in that one, but we don't know if one of them is the Toad. But Super Mario Run, we know the Toad is playable on that. So it's a lot less of here's a bunch of all these random Toads, and it's more like, yes, there is a Toad the Toad, but sometimes he's not in, sometimes it's multiple random Toads, like Blue Toad in the new Super Mario Brothers game for some stupid reason.
What if we get Blue Toad instead of Toad Toad?
I will
Interesting.
not cast my vote for Blue Toad today.
Okay.
I mean, he's going to be an alternate skin without
Oh,
question.
yeah.
Palette swap. but-
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
We'd have Blue Toad, Yellow Toad, and we'd have multiple skins of Toadette as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
And-
could
and
have that. I
maybe-
mean, I thought they just do the whole color, all the rainbows, because they have purple and green and yellow.
Yeah. Yeah.
They have all that.
Yeah.
Because I've only ever seen Toadette as just one Toadette, like Smurfette.
Yep.
So
We've only ever
I
seen one.
assume I assume she is what we see in Captain Toad as well. It's that Toadette. But I'm guessing
about to
at this
check
point.
on that. I believe you're correct that the Toadette in Captain Toad is our regular Toadette as well, but it's just the Toads themselves that are different.
Sure.
Let me see here. Yes, it is the actual Toadette that's in Captain Toad. Just it's a
Yeah.
different Toad himself, which is kind of weird.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
that I mean is she two timing him, because I thought they were a thing. Now she's off with the captain. I mean,
Oh
what's,
my!
Yeah. Toadette has a lot of friends.
Wow.
So
That's a comment right there.
yeah, it is. But moving on. What are your initial thoughts on this, Jamie?
Oh, I'm Toad all the way. I really just don't care about Captain Toad. Sorry, guys, to all the Captain Toad lovers out there. Like, he was cool in Galaxy, and well, I'm trying to remember exactly what it was, but the thing that always stands out about Captain Toad is more his brigade of other Toads with him, because they're such a band of misfits. And
Yeah.
I might be misquoting this, but one of my favorite things was in the Desert Galaxy, and towards the beginning of when you get towards the end of it, all the Toads they're kind of spread out right before the star, and there's one Toad that as you pass him in all caps, I'm pretty sure it was pudding, but it's "I love chocolate pudding," or it was "I love chocolate cake," or something like. And to me, it was always those other Toads that were more interesting than Captain Toad himself. And I thought I was in the majority, because speaking to my other Wii U friends, they felt the same way about the Captain Toad levels in 3D World, as in we didn't like them. And then apparently they were popular enough to make a freaking spin-off title. They're like, well, shows what we know, because we all hated those levels. And I like him. I like his appearance in Odyssey, because that makes sense. Just like it really makes sense to me for what he was in Galaxy. In 3D World, to me, that was all a shoehorned idea. But hey, enough people liked it, and I mean, I think both versions, the Wii U and the Switch version of Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker, is a million seller, so that's great.
Yeah.
But as far as him in Smash, the character doesn't jump. So what do you do?
It's funny you bring that up. I wish I had the link on hand for me, and I'll try and find it so that we can post it with the podcast link. But last year, when all the Smash speculation is going on, there's always talk about who could get in, and people are making their own movesets and everything, much like we do here. And there was a
Sure.
video that came up. Somebody did animations for how Captain Toad could work in Smash, and they actually addressed this.
Cool.
I don't remember what they did for like his normal regular jumps. They probably gave him some kind of jump, but it was like this little timid, tiny little hop because his whole thing in the Captain Toad games is my backpack's too heavy. I filled it with too
Sure.
much junk. I can't jump because it's so heavy. But what I
Sure.
found, what actually really intrigued me about what they did in this video was his up special. Because what they did
To
with
throw
it was
the backpack?
he doesn't throw the backpack, no, but that is an idea. Instead, he kind of like pulls up from the ground, and it'll either pop up like this tall pipe or extendable block or something to that effect. And on these blocks that he can pull out, if you run toward it, he'll just start running up its wall, go back over the top of it, and then run back down if you keep going that direction.
Interesting.
Which is a completely unique idea in that, hey, look, you're building an obstacle, but also you can completely just run right over it, kind of keep moving that way without having to jump over the obstacle. And you can also use it in midair as it looks a little bit awkward, but he'll pull out this tall thing in midair, and he's just on top of it, so he gets that little bit of extra height there. Is it practical? Harder to say. But goddamn, when I saw that video, I was intrigued as hell, and it was the first time I ever gave a real thought to Captain Toad being played.
Sure, I would love to see that video to see the concept. I'm just more of an old school guy, and as for my collection, I have all the old Mario cartoons on VHS and DVD. And Toad, even thinking back to Super Mario Brothers Super Show, Toad's freaking hilarious, and he's a lot tougher in those old cartoons than what they show in the video game. But I mean, like you were saying before, he's in Super Mario 2 US version. He's in 3D World, and I mean, he's got a lot of personality. And I love the fact that the way that and I think they could do this too if they really wanted to go crazy. If they'd used regular Toad, Toad, and then with the color palette swaps and everything. When you look at Toad in Mario Baseball, or I think it's really just Mario Baseball, the different colored Toads have different stats, which I think is awesome. And they've shown with Hero that the different skins can be essentially different characters. So why not make Toad a little faster or a little stronger or jump higher or heavier or whatever you want to say based on the different colors like they did with the sports titles, or at least with Mario Baseball.
Yeah, if they pulled it from a perspective of Toad pulling from spinoffs in that sense, because we really don't have a character who pronounces a lot that they're pulling from Mario spinoffs, that could work. That could work, absolutely. And it also presents an opportunity to have alternate costumes. Like if you wanted to have one alternate costume be Toadette, one alternate costume be Toadsworth, that kind of thing could probably work too, since they fit the same build.
Sure.
So that would be cool too. And I would imagine, since we're talking about movesets for like regular Toad, there's a lot to work with here. We can, even if you're just focusing on more recent titles, there is a large, pronounced collection of items that could be taken from 3D World or New Super Mario Brothers that would make for an interesting Toad moveset. As for Captain Toad, again, you're pulling from a singular game. One thing that I could think of that would be cool is that his final smash could probably involve that gigantic bird monster.
Sure.
Wingo is its name. I just checked. But beyond that, I'm also struggling to find something that would be as scintillating as what Toad could potentially pull from, because being restricted to one title, you can have Captain Toad can throw a turnip more like Peach, whereas Toad himself would be able to pull from somewhere else and not necessarily have to go down that similar path. And then Captain Toad
Yeah.
also has a propeller helmet and the hammer item as well that makes him temporarily invincible. Maybe that can work a lot like Banjo and Kazooie's Side Smash. It would be a fine moveset. It could work out. The up special would be cool, but beyond that, I'm currently leaning towards Toad, but I also want to. It sounds like Jamie is hard Toad, but I kind of want to hear what Lister's thinking too.
So first of all, while you were speaking, I was able to find the animated video of
Oh,
the Captain
nice.
Toad moveset. Yeah, and I've posted it where you guys can see it, and we can also go ahead and include it on links for this episode. But
Okay.
first of all, the up special that was actually the neutral special, so I had that mixed up. And they also had on there that he can jump off the side of one of these towers, or like could be designed to look like a tree from Wispy's Woods, or not Wispy Woods, Wario's Woods. And he can jump
Oh,
off of
nice.
that with a pickaxe attack. His up special was
That's
actually the
cool.
double cherry cannon, where he shoots himself high up into the air. His side special is a minecart. His down special was similar to Peach's down special, where she pulls out a turnip. Except
Oh yeah.
it can be like a regular turnip, a mega-sized turnip, piranha sprout that shoots projectiles, and a Monty Mole. So he had all those different
Oh
things he
yeah.
can do, and he straight up can't jump. They had this built in the move so that he cannot do regular jumps at all. Which, me as a player, I would struggle with because I love jumping around and doing aerial moves.
Mm-hmm.
And then they
Same
have
here.
their final smash that they have for him is him summoning Dragodon.
Oh, that works too.
Drop
Yeah.
two of them with the whole double cherry thing. It's I don't know. I've never played the Captain Toad game, so I can't really say what works too well for him or not in terms of that respect. But
Mm-hmm.
it's a very intriguing move set, and it would be very unique for Smash, which is something that I do think we need. The downside
yeah.
with Captain Toad is I do more heavily look at Toad himself because hey, he's got the legacy, and sometimes it's for me a lot of times it's legacy of is what we want in Smash. Like hey, this character's been around. Why don't we use him instead of this character that only
yeah.
just
Well,
appeared 6 months ago, and we don't
it's
even
like
know.
Ridley and King K. Rool
Yeah,
and the
Sure.
fan fervor for them. Yeah.
or hey, we got Corn, and people were just like, "What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but what?"
Yeah.
So, but the problem I have with Toad himself is that while you guys were mentioning, yes, you can pull a bunch of things out of the spin-off titles and sports games for him, it is harder to make a moveset for Toad than it would be for Captain Toad, because Captain Toad has a lot more things that you can just kind of like directly pull from him, like the minecart thing that he has, or the double cherries. Whereas Toad, you kind of have to scrounge a little bit more, and we've actually spoken about this with multiple characters in the past. We've said like, hey, we would prefer if Daisy was de-echoed and she could pull from the sports games or spin-offs.
Sure.
We said, hey, Waluigi can pull from the sports games and spin-offs. That was our Smashtopia episode all about him, was we went hard in on his sports games. But we can't just have multiple characters that are just like, oh yeah, we gave them the tennis racket because they're all in Mario Tennis. Then we're just creating clones out of all three of these characters.
Yeah.
So it's tough in that regard. In my mind, it's we have Toad who is legacy, but harder to make a moveset for. Possible, absolutely, but harder. Whereas Captain Toad has a lot more that you can more easily pull from, but he's just like, hey, look, we wanted to make another Toad with an Explorer hat,
Yeah.
and he's
Yeah,
not.
so
He's not the Toad. If he was the Toad, like okay, sure.
Mm-hmm.
But it adds that little bit more difficulty.
Yeah. Yeah, you mentioned things like double cherries and Dragodon, and those were not things that I considered when I was just pitching a moveset out of the top of my mind, because it's been a long time since I played Captain Toad. So that makes the moveset a little more interesting. Not being able to jump, that would be such a nightmare for competitive play. I'm not sure how that would translate.
He would be bottom tier.
Yeah, absolutely. It would be fun though. It would be fun to figure out how to make it work. And Sakurai has gone on the record to say, it doesn't always matter if a character is necessarily the most known or the most iconic. What matters most is them being fun to play, and I think it would be a fun play style. So that makes things a little harder, but at the same time, we're also consider like the big 8, as they call them in the Mario spin-off titles, and you always have Mario and Luigi, and Bowser and Peach, Yeah, exactly. Donkey Kong, Wario. We're getting down to the wire here. Toad is the only one out of the big eight. Yoshi. Now there's Toad. Toad is the only one out of the big eight who is not playable in Smash, and a lot of people. I wish it were a more concerted front because very few characters you can say, "Oh, that character deserves to be in Smash," without being labeled as a curmudgeon. But I think Toad is kind
Yeah.
of up there. Toad is kind of up there with like Dixie Kong and a couple other characters who truly do have that legacy behind them that we can use as a bastion to hop from when stumping for them. So
Absolutely.
that makes it difficult. That makes it difficult for me. I do have, if we were to vote right now, I do have my vote in mind, but I also want to hear what, if you have anything left to say about it, or I also kind of want to just hear your vote before me.
I mean, I think we all came in with anytime we do one of these, everybody's going to have a character that they're already leaning towards. It's natural unless you've never heard of who either of the two characters are. You're going to have a lean. And
Yeah,
some of the characters that we've discussed before, we've had rather long back and forths on them, as we're both presenting arguments for and against each character. But these two, I feel like, are relatively cut and dry. It's more of like I said before, you got legacy character who has a little bit more difficulty with their moveset. You can pull from their biggest source is the spin-off games, which you can do, sure, as well as you could also pull from the various power-ups.
yeah,
Regular Toad's Final Smash could easily be him consuming a Mega Mushroom and just seeing
mm-hmm.
Mega Toad just destroy the damn stage itself. Or it could be something from Wario's Woods.
Yeah.
He
Oh,
was
that
one
would
of
be
the
cool.
4 original playable characters in Super Mario Bros. 2 and had the unique ability that he ran faster while holding items, while everyone else did not.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have Captain Toad, who is a little bit more unique in terms of being an individual character. Actually, has their own game and has their own distinguished capabilities between them. Yeah, Toad in Super Mario jokes about having left his bazooka at home. How that joke made it in, I honestly don't know. But
That's
it
awesome.
was funny. But
Mm-hmm.
obviously, Toad's not going to be bringing in a mushroom bazooka into Smash, or if he did, I would love Sakurai even more for referencing Mario RPG because it's the greatest game ever. But
Yeah.
it's tough to think about them both because I feel like they are in terms of their overall qualities, they're on a fairly regular playing field. It's just what are you prioritizing more?
Mm-hmm.
That's really what it comes down to.
It is. It is. In the scope of Smash, there's a part of me that almost wouldn't feel too averse towards having them both in the game, but that might be a little confusing.
And really, either
Sure.
way, either one of them gets in, the other can be a costume.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
That the animated video I found, at the end of it, they're showing off costumes, and one of the last ones they show off is regular Toad without the little headlamp. And instead of having a backpack on his back to pull things out of, it's a question mark block.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
That's cool. Um, let's see here. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I do think that Jamie is sticking in the straight and narrow and going for his boy Toad Toad.
I am, because
Okay.
that's who I have. I have history with.
Yeah.
My Captain Toad history is just not.
Yeah. Jamie's just like, Toad is who I is, and I respect that.
That's it. That's
Yep.
it.
And Lister, how do you want to do our vote? You want to count down? You want to?
I get the feeling we're gonna vote the same way, so I think we should
Okay.
do a countdown.
Okay. In that case,
Jamie, count us down from 3, and we'll say after 1. Um, Hello. All right, let me mark that down as a period to be cut out. This is why we don't
Did
do
you,
things live.
no. Um. Did you hear Lister? Did
Did I what?
Oh no, I'm asking Jamie if he heard you.
Oh,
Uh, I lost audio. I knew you're going to do a countdown after one. Then I heard nothing. Like, oh, did the countdown happen?
Oh no, I was saying that to have you do a countdown from 3, and then after 1,
Oh, for me to do
both
it.
Jonno and I will say our choice.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
sure, I'll do it.
yeah. Let's regather. Lister, can you just say that like you would in the podcast?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I get the feeling that we're both going to have the same answer here. Just a bit of a gut check there. So why don't we have Jamie do a quick little countdown for us from 3 to 1, and then after he says 1, we'll both say our answer, and we'll see how we all agree.
Sounds good.
All right, gentlemen, here you go. 3, 2.
You didn't hear him say 1 either, did you?
No. Oh my god.
All right, so we're gonna try that again because
Okay.
it cut out when after you said 2, it cut out. It's like mother.
Oh my god, that's unbelievable.
Oh man, I'm glad I'm not the only one.
Take 3. Fucking 3.
Yeah.
Mother fucking bitch ass tits.
Do you want me to just do my part? 'Cause your part is sounding good.
It'll be a cleaner cut if I
Sure.
back up and continue.
Yeah, go for it.
I get the feeling that we're both kind of the same answer here. Just want a really bit of a gut check there. So why don't we go ahead and have Jamie do a real quick 3 to 1 countdown for us, and then after he says 1, we'll both say our answer, and we'll see just how this Smash or Dash shakes out. Jamie,
Sounds good.
All right, gentlemen, ready?
let's go.
Yes, sir.
3, 2, 1.
Dixie Kong.
Toad.
I knew someone was gonna throw.
Yep.
Had to do
Yep.
it. But you said Toad, and I do agree. Classic Toad. Let's go. Sorry, Captain, but you can be a costume at least.
Yeah.
I would say so.
Yeah. That, and I think Captain Toad as a costume for Toad would be a lot easier trajectorily wise to really communicate. Like Toad with the question block would be a bit more liberal for Smash costumes. So cool. With that said, I guess we can move on to our next and final Smash or Dash matchup.
And potentially more interesting Smash or Dash
Oh, I'm excited
matchup.
for this.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
excited for
We knew
this
it
one.
would be. So
Yep.
this time around, we're looking at 2 third-party franchises, and they're ones that already have reps in Smash. So we're trying to see should these secondary characters join their primary protagonist. And so we're discussing Shadow the Hedgehog versus Zero from Mega Man X.
Yeah. Yes, we are.
2 series that I happen to know Jamie is a big fan of.
I am. They are part of my holy trinity.
And Mario's the third, right?
Oh, Mario is the father.
Oh yeah, there you go. Oh, yep.
Yeah.
So gosh, I think Lister's implying if you wanna give us that brief historic overview for Shadow and Zero, then feel free.
Sure. You want me to start with Shadow?
Whichever you
Sure.
prefer.
Oh, sure. I'll start with Shadow. So, Shadow the Hedgehog made his debut appearance in the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise in Sonic Adventure 2. That was the last Sonic game for a Sega console. It was also the game that came out the franchise's 10th anniversary. And the backstory for Sonic Adventure 2 is that Sonic is captured by a government organization, GUN, which stands for Guardian Units of Nation. So, okay. Because they're on the lookout for a hedgehog, and the only hedgehog that is known on the planet, which I don't know if at that point they still call it Mobius, but whatever they call it in the Sonic universe at the time, they all think it's him. It turns out to be Shadow the Hedgehog. And Shadow is the prototype of an immortal being created by Professor Gerald Robotnik. And he made Shadow because his granddaughter, Maria, was suffering from a deadly illness. And through genetic engineering, Shadow, he was trying to find a cure Maria. It didn't work. Shadow and Maria became really good friends. They kind of infer maybe they're more than friends. And in a cutscene in SA2, yeah, I don't want to go there either. Maria is killed by the gun army, military people, whatever they are, up in space, because she's trying to protect Shadow. And Shadow then is traumatized by that experience, and he vows to keep his promise that he would protect the world from danger. So as Sonic Adventure 2 goes on, Eggman finds him. I shouldn't call him Eggman because to me he's Robotnik. But he finds Shadow and he tells him everything that he wants to get him on his side. And, obviously Robotnik's trying to take over the planet, and Shadow is aligned with him as the story goes on. Spoiler alert, he kind of changes sides to join Sonic, much like Knuckles did in Sonic 3. And at the, definitely skip ahead if you don't want to know what happens at the end of Sonic Adventure 2. But they team up to fight the actual, what are them?
The real villain.
Immortal, yeah, like the immortal being, immortal life in space. And Shadow falls to the earth, burning up in the atmosphere, and you assume he died. And so he returns in a number of Sonic titles. He eventually gets his own video game. I don't have much to say about that game except that I have it, and that's about it. It's very convoluted. It involves alien races, and it involves gun again, and there's a bunch of different endings, and it's super, super weird. And now
it involves gun, and he has a gun.
Yeah, and he has a gun. Like, he has multiple guns. He has guns that you can load out.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, he's doing his thing. Most recently, he free DLC in Sonic Forces. I don't even think they know what to do with him anymore, to be honest with you. I compare Shadow to everything I don't like about Vegeta in Dragon Ball Z.
Ooh.
And yeah, I'm kind of giving you foreshadowing of where my vote is too. And he obviously also has this power that they show in Sonic Adventure 2. Again, spoilers, called Chaos Control, that he can use Chaos to seemingly stop time, and all that stuff.
I mean, he's got a lot of different things he can do with.
He's got a ton of different things. Yeah, of course.
Crazy amount of abilities.
It's definitely what I would consider to probably be his final smash. Something with all of that. And that's Shadow in a nutshell right there. He's not, for someone being so popular, he's not used the way that you would think in the Sonic franchise at this. But that's Shadow the Hedgehog in a nutshell. His competitor in this Smash or Dash is the Maverick Hunter Zero. And Zero has a really interesting backstory because the whole Mega Man X series has an interesting backstory because it starts with the original Mega Man series. And you have Dr. Light, good, and Dr. Wily, bad, constantly having these disagreements, which actually in Mega Man 11, they kind of give you the backstory to what their philosophical differences are. So to talk about Zero is essentially the 20XX version of Proto Man because it's Dr. Wily's final creation, and it is a robot that is so powerful that it's expected to wipe Mega Man out, but Dr. Wily puts him into sleep stasis essentially because the power is too much and he's worried what might even happen to him. So in Mega Man X, you see in these really cool anime cutscenes that the Maverick Hunters, led by Sig, are investigating this red Maverick. And Sigma goes in to take him out, essentially. And Zero kicks Sigma's ass. And right at the climax of the fight, a W presenting Dr. Wily. It's a very obvious W that you see in all the classic Mega Man titles. It appears on him, and this electrical shock goes through him. And at that point, Sigma is able to gather whatever strength he has left and crush the crystal on Zero's forehead. And then they bring him back to Maverick Hunter Base, and we assume he's reprogrammed. And then he becomes the partner, essentially, of Mega Man X, and you have all these adventures together. And it's really cool the way that they build up the story in the X series, because when the first Mega Man X game, you just think they're kind of it's these two guys. They're Sonic and Tails, Mario and Luigi. These are the two people, robots, they're not people, that are going to, they're the heroes, and you just assume that they've always been together. Okay, here comes spoiler alert. If you don't have X Legacy Collection or you want to play Mega Man X3, ready?
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
Here come the spoilers. So in X3, at the end, when he's overlooking, it's a pretty standard Super Nintendo ending for the Mega Man X series. He's overlooking the fortress that X destroyed on a cliff, and he realizes that in order to fulfill his destiny, he has to kill Zero, because Zero is the cause of all of these wars and all of these problems. And then as the X series moves on and the quality of the series goes down a little bit, the Sigma virus becomes Zero virus, and it gets included. And eventually, Mega Man X evolves into Mega Man Zero series, different thing. But, where I kind of end Zero's story is with X5, because that was the original planned ending of the X. And it brings everything to a nice close, that this Reploid that was created for evil purposes, reprogrammed to be a good guy, and has wanted nothing but good, sacrifices himself in his story. You could play as X or Zero, but he sacrificed. That's the way it was supposed to end, and his sacrifice would have brought peace to the land, which was all the chaos that he caused. So, as much of a hero, he's an anti-hero, in the same way that Shadow is maybe supposed to be. I'm not sure,
he kind of gets treated as one, but
he's just an angsty teenager to me. Shadow.
He's really only an anti-hero to Sonic because he just hates Sonic.
Yeah. I mean, Faker, big thing in Sonic Adventure 2. Every time you'd see Faker, and it would get under Sonic's skin. So you have that interesting dichotomy, and then I mean, it starts off as a typical thing with X and Zero, and it gets really weird, but not weird in a good way, because you go, well, this is true conflict, and this is something that I started playing Mega Man X as a 5-year-old, 6-year-old, and you see this friendship, and then as they grow, friendship starts to change, just like as you grow, friendships start to change because of people's actions.
True.
So I felt the way that they handled everything with the. I might be getting a little bit too English teacher here, but the way that they handled the characters for the X franchise, I thought was a really cool way of making them be something that I feel sorely lacking in recent Sonic titles, unfortunately, because if you watch the old cartoon show on ABC, man, those other characters were just brimming with personality, and they really fought one another. It wasn't just about the power of friendship, really overcoming something, which is what I think Mega Man X series. So anyway, that's their backstory. Now let's get into the juicy details of the Smashitude.
Oh yeah. Well, thanks for that. I guess if we were going purely off of backstory, I think that who each of us would choose is pretty cut and dry.
Kid Masters.
Yeah, exactly. Because with Shadow, as Gen Z calls them, the e-boys were out in force in the early 2000s. Green Day was making a comeback with their
Yep.
Warning album back on the charts, and I think when they made Shadow, they were really just trying to go into that whole emo vibe of like the scene back in the day, and congrats to them for that, because they as someone who was a part of all that, they really got that dilution of coolness down pat,
Yeah, they
and
did.
emphasis on dilution. But beyond that, though, I agree. They both approach this anti-hero approach to the character design, but it shows that the writers of X were just a cut above with being able to emphasize this philosophical human edge to this story, to the sci-fi story. So that's all. Those are points we can take into consideration, surely, because I think when you're facing Shadow against Zero, and they have these various similarities, quality is certainly something, because I think they share a certain similar level of popularity as well.
Yeah,
Um,
I would say
so
so.
so yeah, yeah. So with that said, if we're approaching this from a moveset angle, honestly, my personal experience with either character is minimal compared to Jamie, of course, but probably also to Lister. So Lister was talking about chaos control earlier and everything, so I'm gonna shy away from this and just kind of let you guys speak.
Sure.
So yeah. What are you thinking, Lister?
So, first of all, something I need to get out of the way in terms of third party characters in general moving forward into the future of Smash. A personal opinion of mine, and I know I'm not going to make some people happy when I say this, but I actively do not want multiple characters from the same third party franchise be playable in Smash. And yet, what are we discussing today? I know. So it's something that anytime we have these discussions, I'm gonna have to put that whole thing aside because I mean it's a boring discussion. To just say I refuse to ever vote for a character that already has a character in. So I mean that's just not interesting. You just gotta have the full discussion to it. But if we had my choice on it, I would dash both Zero and Shadow because we've already got Sonic and Mega Man. So nah. But here's the thing. We're still going to discuss it anyways, and both these characters have a high number of attacks that you can easily pull
Mm-hmm.
from their games. Like I'm looking at, I have pulled up a list of both Sonic's moves, or it's not Sonic, but Shadow's moves and Zero's moves, and there is a crazy amount. Like Shadow has a whole bunch of different chaos related attacks. He can throw out a energy spear, a weaker version of it that he calls Chaos Arrow. He's got a homing attack that he'll do chaos related punches with. No, it's just Chaos Attack. Boring name, I know. He can
Mm-hmm.
create a gigantic shockwave that just makes things at a 20-yard radius, apparently, with
Oh
called
man,
Chaos Blast. He can charge himself
you
up
were
with his
on the spot
different.
with Vegeta.
Well, yeah, he can essentially buff himself up, invulnerability, faster, stronger with Chaos Boost. He's got Chaos Control, which can slow down time, time travel, teleport, which has a bunch of different ways that that can be used.
Nothing
He's
personnel,
he's
kid.
just got a lot. He's got a lot of stuff that he can do, just based
Mm-hmm.
around those moves. And even you something like slowing down time, just in any power that's time manipulation, you've got like 100 different things that you can do with that. Then we have Zero,
Sure.
who Zero has standard weapons like he's got a Z Buster, a Z Saber, he's got a glaive, a fan, a knuckle type attack. He's got boomerangs, he got rods, and he can get different techniques and other kinds of weapons from the various. They're not called robot masters, I don't believe, in the X Games. What are they called, Jamie?
Uh, so they're either Mavericks if they're infected with the virus,
Mm-hmm.
or some of them are just Reploids because
Gotcha.
they're somewhat neutral. You know, they're just regular robots. That's it.
Right. So like he can get a move that's like shooting frozen fish missiles from Launch Octopus. He's got a bunch of moves that I will butcher the pronunciations of. Ryujin, Ryujin, something like that, which is sort of like a it's a Shoryuken but with his fire but with a flaming sword. He can dive down with an ice sword attack. He's got various charge forwards, lightning, fire, various elemental stuff. He's got a lot of things. He can cause enormous energy beams to just rain down from above. They can pull things from his X games. They can pull things from the Zero games. But I think they'd be mainly pulling from X, in my personal opinion. He's been playable in
That's what I would
Tatsunoko
do.
versus Capcom and Marvel vs. Capcom 3 and Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. So he's got a ton of stuff that they can already just directly pull from. These characters both have such a high variety of attacks. I think Zero has more uniqueness to his attacks than just Shadow does. But either one of them could easily be made unique in Smash. There's no question in my mind about this. It's really just more of a thing of which franchise are you more a fan of, and which attacks are more interesting to you. That's where I see the big divide between these two characters. Is who's going to be more fun, and who are you already more of a fan of?
Right.
I didn't even think about a lot of those different chaos control techniques with Shadow. That makes him a lot more interesting to me. I can't help but, just because of things like with Joker, for example, Netta, would they give him
I don't. Just because they gave Joker, and I don't think they give Shadow one, because Joker's gun in the Persona games, it's actually not even a real gun. It's a model gun, but in the world of I can't remember what the world is called now off the top of my head, which is a shame because I love the game. But when they transition into the other world in Persona 5, it's perception becomes reality. These monsters see what looks like a gun to them, so they think that's a gun. That's going to hurt me if he shoots me. So now if Joker uses it, hey, look, it's a gun, even though it's not. But I think with Shadow, they're more likely to, unless they make him a Sonic Echo, which shock of all shocks, that didn't even happen in Ultimate. I think they'd lean more heavily into his different chaos attacks.
Yeah, that makes sense. I just wonder because he's only had one game that's his own, and that is the main mechanic.
Fair.
That gun. That's the only reason why I bring that up to go. Because you don't want to put Doom guy in there potentially because you don't want to change the rating for the game or something. And but the argument that you're bringing in with the chaos attacks, that makes him way more interesting, and definitely I think most people would have expected him to be an Echo fighter Sonic. If that's what I was expecting.
3 spin dashes in a spring.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the spring thing wouldn't happen for him. I would expect more a chaos control, jump a la Zelda or something, teleportation thing. But I was someone that was pretty surprised when they said they were revealing the final Echo fighters in Shadow. But if he were to come in these continued releases of DLC characters, putting all of them as separate attacks with chaos control moves would make him a lot more interesting. And the fact of the matter is, he'd be super popular.
Yeah.
I feel like he's definitely someone that they must have at least had interaction about.
I agree too.
Yeah,
I agree too.
Then with Zero and his attacks, I mean, you can say what you want about this game because I think it's pretty divisive. People would say it's my favorite, but to me, the best moveset that Zero has is in X5. And I know it's somewhat of a enhancement of what he has in X4, but I just think the delivery is really, really strong in X5. Now, I'm no designer and programmer. I don't know which they would make the B button moves and the A button. I'm not sure what would be a smash attack, what would be a special. But to think about the C sword or the F splasher, the C flasher, the W shredder, the Quake blazer, I mean, all those moves, it covers basically the things that you were saying before. It would just make him such a badass character. And I would love for them to find a way to use his Z Buster, because that's really only done in the. Well, you can't even play as him as in the X game, and you can't really do it in the second one. But in the, I mean, you don't. You just barely see him. But in the third one, when you do get to play as him, you use your Buster a lot. And I feel like once everything switched over to the PlayStation, and well, actually there was a Saturn game too, but the emphasis just became on the Z Saber, because if you're going to have two characters, you want them to be different. But it would be nice if they found something to do with his Buster as well, even though there aren't specials outside of just the standard charge attack that or the regular pew pew with the B button.
I mean,
or Y button.
They could easily do the same thing with his Buster that they did with classic Mega Man. Everybody thought that his Buster would be the neutral special, standard charge it up, release it like a lot of other standard neutrals are, but instead it was his side smash attack. So they could easily do the same thing with Zero. His side smash is the Zero Buster. He can just tap it.
Yeah.
No, wait, hold on. No, not his side. No, it's his side smash, but also his neutral attack. That they could do either one with those. Just be like, hey, tap the A button, pew pew, Buster shots, or hey, go for the side smash. Actually, I think side smash is probably like his sword projectile move. I think that's more likely there. But his
that's what I would think
could be the Buster easily.
The neutral I would think would be the. Well, I mean, I'll do a bad impression of his voice. He always does 3 slash. True. In the PlayStation games, and I think since as you look at a character like Snake, he does the punch and then the David Lee Roth kick. I think it'd be the same sort of thing with Zero, that you'd have the 3 slashes.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know if there's something, or maybe that would be the neutral smash. I'm sorry, the neutral special. I'm not sure. You could go either way. It's a really good point. The air dash would be pretty useful. That could also be the side A attack.
Oh yeah.
I'm trying to think of how trolls in the regular
could easily be a dash attack as well.
That's true.
It's like the problem with Zero is the same problem that classic Mega Man and X and Mega Man.exe and Star Force and Legends have, is they have like 1,000 attacks.
Oh
How the hell do you narrow down their moveset?
I mean the way they did Mega Man for Smash Brothers, I was really impressed with the way.
Yeah.
And that reveal is still my all-time reveal.
Oh, it was such a good trailer.
I was so excited when that happened. I legitimately yelled when I was like, "What?" Because the stream froze, but the audio was still working, so I heard the sound effect when his helmet came on.
Nice.
And I went, "No!" And then you hear the music. I went, "He's here! He's here!" I was so excited, and
yeah,
I think it would be really awesome to have one more representative from somewhere in guys. I mean, I would have loved to have X over regular Mega Man, but to have Zero in there I think it'd be super cool. And I can already hear other people saying, "Oh, great, another sword character." But I mean, he's so much more than just a sword character. Plus, if you want to get really crazy, it's a saber, people. So.
Mm-hmm. People get so upset over, oh no, another Animu sword fighter. It's like, here's the thing, guys. First of all, yes, okay, Fire Emblem has too many marks. We know this. But it doesn't matter if they're a sword fighter. What matters is how they use it. And Zero would be a lot different of a fighter than anyone else. See, Zero, in terms of comparing to the rest of the Smash cast, would basically be Mega Man with a sword. Most of his attacks, they're probably going to use the sword in some way, but it's going to be more like the Fire Wave attack from X2. He's swinging his sword, and then it shoots out a fire projectile. Yeah, he's got a sword, but he's doing a lot of projectile moves.
Yeah,
that's funny. That's funny. Jamie's comment about if you want to be crazy, it's a saber, not a sword. That reminds me when I called your dagger and knife yesterday.
Oh well, yeah, true. And to his credit, he's actually completely correct because it's not called the Z sword; it's the Z saber.
Saber. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like we got
Yeah.
Z
and
Buster, Z Saber, D Glaive for whatever reason,
mhm.
Sigma Blade, K Knuckle. He's got a lot of weapons. None of them are
He does.
Z Sword. It's Saber.
And we
Yeah.
call the dagger of Listeria
Yes, we do.
or
I dig it.
Listerono or something.
I dig it.
Yep, yep. Okay, holy moly. I don't know about you, but I think that was a lot of great exposition, and I think that we have heard enough from both sides of the coin here to probably make a decision.
Sure.
Sure. And I think this might be one that we're all on the same page about again, but I'm not too certain about that. So how do we want to approach our vote?
Well, but before we do, is there any additional points or arguments that either of us want to make on behalf of either character?
Yes. For Shadow, I will say one plus in his direction
Mm-hmm.
is that that timeless meme teleports behind you, nothing personnel kid. That's on his side. Beyond
That's a
that, I
good
don't know.
point. That should be his final smash.
Oh yeah, that could be his victory screen too, where he teleports.
Oh yeah, it could be. Yeah,
nothing
that could be
personal.
Actually, that sounds like a personal taunt quote as well.
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
that would be good. That would be good.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But that's about it. That's all I have to really toss out there. Because you guys had such a good conversation about both their backstories and their moveset potential that sitting back a little bit, I was able to process, just kind of approach it from an objective view as someone who is a fan of both series, but also hasn't dabbled in as many of the games as probably either of you. So I'm just like, oh, just assessing based on the moves alone, I have a good idea of who I want.
Cool.
Yep. How about you guys?
All right, so Jamie, do you want to lead us off?
I'm sorry, cut out me first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
My vote goes for 0.
All right.
Got it. I was feeling it.
So yeah, I mean, when you were giving us your little shadow history, had that little spoiler in there.
Yeah, I kind of do. And, the other thing is Sonic, so I'm somebody that I would much rather see Tails or Knuckles get that spotlight
Fair.
over Shadow. That's my personal bias.
Yeah.
And when we used to pretend on the playground, someone else wanted to be Knuckles more than likely. And when we used to do the same thing and have our own kind of imagination with the Mega Man series, it was either Mega Man and Proto Man or X and Zero. So when I think about that stuff, Smash Brothers in the first game, it's the you're in a kid's room and you're playing with the toys, and that evolves in figures and the trophies and all that stuff. So I still kind of approach the series in that mindset, and as if I'm Master and Crazy Hand, I would want these characters. So my vote goes for 0 in this bracket.
All right.
You know what? In the future, somewhere down the road, we all need to get together and just go to a playground somewhere and play imaginary Smash together.
Are we gonna get the costumes
Well,
from the commercial?
Yeah,
that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm down.
I do actually have a Mega Man sweatshirt where the hoodie is his helmet, so I'm all set.
Oh, there you go. You go. We'll party like it's 4th grade.
Yeah, like it's 20 XX or whatever it is.
Yep. I love chocolate pudding.
Is it pudding? Right? Is that what he says?
I have no idea.
I hope so.
I'm
You know what? You're gonna have to replay Galaxy and tell us.
I'm gonna look this up. Go ahead.
Okay.
All right. So, I said at the top of this whole discussion that I don't want to have multiple characters from the same third-party franchise in Smash. This is true. This is never going to change. I can stomach Echo Fighters because it's like a character, but
it's
it's
a clone. It's a
not.
clone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was like so having
Low effort.
Kin, having Richter was like, all right, fine. I don't like it, but whatever. But you know what?
Yep.
Mega Man X isn't the same franchise as Mega Man. It's not the same franchise
That's
as Mega Man
true.
Battle Network or Mega Man
Mm-hmm.
Legends or Mega Man Zero or Mega Man Star Force.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of like a bit of a loophole. But
Mm-hmm.
so with that in mind, was well as the various different moves that each character has, I'm also going to be voting for Zero. I would much rather have that character.
Nice.
While ideally, while Jamie would prefer Mega Man X or Classic Mega Man, I would prefer Mega Man.exe. That's my Mega Man personally. But I do have to say,
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
I do think that in terms of a game like Smash Brothers, the best representation for the Mega Man franchise is Classic Mega Man and Zero. So those are the best two, because you could include Mega Man X, but then who's your second? Because you could have Zero, but then it's like, hey, you just got two from X again. Who are you gonna? Do
Mm-hmm.
you want two Mega Mans? You could do Proto Man, I guess. But no, it's classic Mega Man and
Sure.
Zero. I think that's the superior top two characters to include from the overarching franchise.
You can
Fair
go from a
enough.
Tatsunoko angle and do Mega Man X and roll, of course.
Whoa.
Tatsunoko was not Mega Man X. It was Mega Man Volnuts from the Legends games, actually.
Oh yeah, it was. No, I was Zero was
Who
present in
is
that game too.
Volnut is my boy, and I still will not buy Capcom things because they've canceled Mega Man Legends 3. Except I'll buy Mega Man 11 collection, but everything else, I'm very upset. I hold a grudge.
I don't blame you, and if they pulled that nonsense with a Battle Network 7, I would be
It,
burning everything at Capcom that I
uh,
have.
oh my gosh, it stings like it just happened. I mean, I absolutely adore the Legends series, and I was waiting for that game for 10 years, and
Mm-hmm.
then they did that garbage, and it's almost been 10 more years.
Yep.
Anyway, continue.
Are you sure you don't want to switch your vote to Shadow?
Yeah, I
Oh,
mean, you sound a little
without a
angry.
shadow of a doubt, I'm sticking with Zero.
All right.
All right. Well, and Shadow stands 0% of a chance because I'm also voting Zero.
God damn it, I was going to make that
So-
joke, you son of a bitch.
That was great. That
Nice.
was great.
So that's funny. We actually kind of
We swept.
unanimously, yeah, we swept it all. So congratulations to Toad and Zero, and at least Captain Toad and Shadow have each other.
Yeah, Captain Shadow. That could be their new spin-off title.
Oh,
Oh
goody.
my gosh. There's a ship to let sail.
No, no. We're not doing
Yep.
this.
Yep. Let's see.
Shadow
What if,
belongs to Gamma 123.
we can call. Oh yeah.
Or whatever
we can
he's
call
called, I
ourselves.
don't know.
And as for this ship, I think Zantok, Jonno, Jamie, Zanton, Amy. There we go.
Oh wow. That's
Or J
I
Mystery.
think that is our cue
J
to
Mystery
go ahead
then.
and say, hey guys, we appreciate you joining us for this episode of Super Cast Brothers. Please go ahead and let us know who you would rather put in Smash between Toad and Captain Toad or Shadow and Zero as well. I mean, we didn't have a tie vote, but that doesn't mean you can't cast your own votes as well. And hey, maybe we'll go over those in the next time we just have one of these. So before John can go on any
Absolutely.
other weird tangents like he is known to, see you next time.
Yep, and our next episode is another on topic where we are approaching Smash from the point of we've talked about everyone is here. Now we're posing the question, what's next for the franchise? Thank you.
Here's the TLDR on that episode. We don't know. We don't. Who knows? Nobody knows.
Yep. Hugo knows. Hugo knows, and we'll talk with Hugo on that episode. But nonetheless, thank you for joining us today, Jamie. This was really awesome, and I'm glad that we were able to talk about the album and ongoing experiences with your musical career, and then we were able to deep dive into the mystic lore of Smash and Nintendo and Sega and Capcom with you. This was a lot of fun.
Well, thank you for having me. This was really fun. I
It
would
was.
love to come back sometime and talk some more shop with both of you. And just to clarify, it was I love mint chocolate. That's what the toad said. With
Oh,
with
okay.
love and I
I
love
love
mint
mint
chocolate.
chocolate.
that that's what stands out. That's more memorable than Captain Toad to me. Even though I couldn't remember the exact line until eventually. But that character always stood out even more than the captain.
Yep.
But thanks so much for having me, and it's a pleasure to be here for the Christmas holiday episode. And I hope everybody listening has a wonderful holiday. And I
Except for
hope you too
Shadow
as well.
fans, because we didn't grant you your gift.
Well, I
Or play
mean,
better
you know,
game.
And a happy new year to you all. Thank you.
Happy New
All
Year.
right.
Yeah.
All right. All right. That does it.